Hello and welcome back to another edition of SuperCoach Edge, where we round out our side discussion and analysis of midfielders with a look at the tantalizing mid-rookies that we do have on offer for 2025. Now, Liam, we are joined yet again, and it's good to see your fantastic face.
Back.
But I must ask, how are you tracking in your ACL recovery? I did mention it in the previous episodes that you are going quite well, and you've been using your downtime to good effect, your recovery time, I should say, just sifting over the stats, the numbers, watching all the official preseason games, and putting it out there as well on our Twitter account. So for those of you that have yet to see it, go and check it out. You've compiled some fancy little graphics as well, which blew me away. So how's everything going on your end?
Yeah, it's going well, Yep, had a lot of spare time, had a lot of time to watch some preseason games, put together some stats, lots of fun. ACLs going well, weeding off crutches, so that's nice.
Oh, perfect.
Starting to walk again.
So you're not like
let me rephrase, starting to hobble again.
It's not to hobble, yeah. Do you feel like a pirate, just like peg leg, all you need is a hook?
I feel like a really old man, like just... I'm like shuffling along, like
you feel like me then.
Along. But anyway, it'll be fun. We'll be fun.
Yeah, you don't need a Zimmer frame. You're still on the crutches for another. No, that's good.
Well, crutches. I think now I can start not using them, but there's like this little safety net of having the crutches.
Yes, well, I can imagine your better half would be saying, "Don't be doing anything stupid."
Yeah,
and use them when you can, because she doesn't want to hear you complaining, which is what my wife says.
Accurate.
Yeah.
Good to be back. And before we do jump in, Damon, I'm going to run through the socials like I always do. YouTube, if you want to find us on YouTube and watch and listen along, you can find us at SuperCoach Edge, and don't forget to subscribe so that you do know when our content does drop from week to week. On Spotify, if you want to listen to us in audio podcast form, you'll find us on Spotify, Apple Pods, and if you listen to us there, please don't forget to give us 5 stars and a glowing review if you do have the time. On Twitter, you'll find us at @supercoach_edge, Damon at DamoJ88, myself at @LiamEvans_95, and on Facebook, Insta, and TikTok, search SuperCoach Edge, and you'll find us there.
Very good, Liam. You do that so well. You can do it with your eyes closed and all senses out of action, because I tried that a couple of times and I think I nailed it. I don't know if you tuned in, but I think I nailed it finally in the previous episode. So, I'll hang my hat on that. But Liam, it does mean, of course, as I mentioned, we are up to mid-rookies. And thankfully, in 2025, it looks as though we have a host of options in the middle. But of course, a reminder to those of you tuning in at the moment, if you have missed our previous episodes on all things primos and mid-prices when it comes to rookies, as well as across the lines of forwards and defenders, make sure to go back and check those out. They're available, of course, on YouTube and in audio podcast format. But for now, Liam, let's talk all things mid-rookies. And you can kick us off, if you prefer to do so, with our first that we have on offer.
Happy to. First up, we do have Sam LALOR. 203.5k mid eligible, obviously, for the Tigers. He has the buy in round 14, and he had a 2024 average of 120 in the Coates League. So he is the most expensive rookie coming in this year, obviously, as a player that hasn't played yet. So he did look good in Richmond's first unofficial hit out against the Eagles before unfortunately getting absolutely ironed out by Jinby, which resulted in a broken jaw and concussion, and has seen him sidelined for the remainder of the preseason. He could still be declared fit to play round 1, but I would say it is touch and go at this stage. In his draft year, he suffered injuries to his knee, hip, ankle, quad, and hamstring. Jesus.
You think you had a bad Liam?
Yeah, jeez, bloody hell. What's left? Which saw him shifted to playing more of a forward role at various stages. He was able to punch out scores of 170, 131, and 138 to show his supercoach ability in his junior years, but he might expect to see him being eased a little bit more into senior footy with a position up forward when he does debut for the Tigers. Now, I think I saw something today about him that he is looking at an early debut, not round 1, I don't think. He was in match sim today, or I don't know, whenever Richmond had their match sim. but was still in the non-contact hat. So you'd expect he's close, but not quite there.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a bit hard, I think. I mean, in terms of verdicts and stuff, yeah, you obviously can't select him because he is currently injured. But even if he wasn't, I don't know about you, but I just think when we have rookies that have passed the 200K mark, they need to be an absolute like breakaway out and out star in order to select him, which I think at this stage kind of looks a bit in the mold of like a Dusty, you'd think. And because he's played up forward in his junior or draft year, due to the fact that he had all those injuries and he was camped up there. I think it kind of makes it a little bit hard in terms of his role, but let's see how he goes when he does return, and yeah, it could be a nice scorer, but we'll wait and see on that. Let's move on to the next candidate, and it is a little bit of a juicier one, but equally as high a price point. It is Finn O'Sullivan, 199K. 2024 average was 109 in the Coates League and does have the round 12 bye. Now, has been compared in his draft year to Bontempelli, of all players. I just love when all these newbies come in and they're like, oh, this is next Chris Judd, this is next Luke Hodge. But, I mean, he has been compared to him based upon his playing style because of his ability to impact games without really needing to accumulate the footy. And he well and truly passed the eye test in North's official preseason encounter against West Coast after scoring 99 from just 18 disposals and 8 marks. So his ability to score as well as he did with limited numbers is a big plus. And does look to have early job security at this stage, which is a big positive, but unsure how consistent his scoring will be from week to week. But did look, I guess positive signs in a sense because he was playing a bit behind the ball at various stages in the preseason game. So if that role continues and he does carve out a bit of a niche in that role, it could return some nice scores here and there. But in terms of verdicts, Liam, is he in your team at the moment?
Not at this stage. I'd potentially look at him maybe in the flex position.
Yep.
I just don't. I mean, I have the cash to bring him in. I can move some players around and get him in. I'm not entirely sure. I'm worried about I don't think his job security is an issue, but his scoring potential is. If he's behind the ball, I think it'll be good. But if he's playing that wing role, it's going to be tough for him to score well on a consistent basis. And at that, just under 200K mark, he needs to score well.
Yeah, I totally agree on all counts there. One thing that did, I guess, impress me was his, smarts, because he knew where to be when his teammates had the ball. He'd run into space and just be in the right positions as well, even for intercepts. So he's a very smart footballer, and much of that has been spoken about in his draft year. But yeah, for me, I think in SuperCoach, just that price point, if he was cheaper, yeah, maybe. But yeah, I think he's a little bit hard to fit into the mix.
Yeah, agreed entirely. So I think with that, I think we're probably both on the same page here. Not necessarily one to avoid, but if you don't stress about not having him, I would say.
Yep, spot on.
Yeah. Next up, we have from the Dockers, Nathan O'Driscoll, 198K mid eligible, the 2024 average of 52.5 from 2 games, with a bye in round 13 this year. The goodbye. Not the doesn't want you.
Goodbye.
But anyway, Nathan O'Driscoll, largely the forgotten man at Freo in terms of talented youngsters. After injury and a lack of opportunity, saw him play just the 2 games in 2024, with one of those a sub-affected score of 26 and the other a very juicy 79 from a full game. He's now heading into his 4th season, and at a discounted price, he could prove a very valuable selection. He's worked his way back into favour, it would seem, after impressive performances across the preseason, which included a 72-point performance from 17 disposals, 8 marks, and 43% CBAs in Freo's official preseason hit-out against the D's. Yeah, he looks good. I think he's definitely one that you'd probably want to look at starting. I think it looks like he's got decent job security and should have the scoring potential to go with it.
Yep. Yeah, exactly right. Hit the nail on the head there. And I think it's a bit interesting because he's overtaken Erasmus, who a lot of us had our sights set on, due to the fact that he had some breakout performances across the Waffle finals especially. We thought, he's going to be gifted the game time that's eluded him in recent seasons. But O'Driscoll has kind of overtaken him. And even though he's kind of been, spoken about as a bit of a wingman, He was given those CBAs as well in the preseason game as well, which indicates that they probably want to rotate him through the middle at various stages as well. So do like the role that he has and has shown that ability to score when given the opportunity. So I myself have him in my team. And as you said, he's someone that at that inflated price point, you kind of, if you're paying up for someone around about that price, you want to play them on field just to get the full value out of them. So he's in my team. Is he in yours, Liam?
Yeah. Yeah.
There you go. That's a definitive yes for both of us. Just want to quickly mention as well, even though he is out, Jagger Smith, 194.5K. Just mentioning him here for those that have just come out of hibernation, perhaps thawed themselves out. What's the name of the character in The Simpsons that finds himself in the freezer at
Jasper.
The Quick Humor? Jasper.
It worked. I've awakened in the future. Moon pie. What a time to be alive.
Well, it's not a time to be alive if you're Carlton supporter because Jagger Smith has gone down with ACL. So for those people constructing the last-minute SuperCoach teams, thinking, oh yeah, Jagger Smith, he's been spoken about as an absolute gun. He's out for the season, unfortunately, but he will be hot property in 2026 at a bargain basement price, no doubt. Now, Liam, I'm going to throw this next guy to you. I've written a few notes about him, but you would speak to him a little bit closer with a bit more authority compared to myself, because it is one of your guys in Elijah SATAS, is it? Or SATAS? I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Yeah.
SATAS, 191.2K.
Yeah.
I'll hand the reins over to you and I'll take up the next player.
Yep. So mid-eligible, obviously, for SATAS. Buys round 16 and round 4 with absolute chaos now. But, I mean, it is what it is. I think with the rookies, it's a bit different. But anyway, 2024 average of 39.4. Not great. Not great. A lot of sub games off memory there. Didn't get much opportunity at senior level, playing just the 7 matches and being sub in 5 of them. He does have one knock in his game, though, which has been consistent, which is his disposal efficiency, being a bit more damaging with his ball use, which is something that I can say he has worked on. They pulled it absolutely apart. It looked horrible, but I think it's all come back together, and he looks good, much better in his kicking and a much more assured in the way that he does use the ball, by foot particularly. It was impressive in the Dons match sims, and then caught the eye with a score of 90 from 31 disposals in the Dons official preseason matchup against the Cats, and looks to have worked his way into a regular spot in the engine room heading into 2025. He attended 26 CBAs for the match, which equated to 79%. So I think he's firmly in that bracket of playing as a midfielder.
Yep.
Something that we haven't seen before. I think he's tended to play a bit half forward, a bit on the wing, but I think we've seen in VFL when he plays midfield, he plays well. And I think that's what we're getting here. He also just I guess as well, 78% time on ground, which equated to roughly 90.96 points per minute, which is decent. So should be able to make plenty of cash for us. Damon, what's your thoughts?
Yep, you've summed it up nicely there. And I think, yeah, it's so hard to judge him. Like, as you mentioned, like last year, 7 matches, sub in 5 of them. Initially going into the season, I looked at that and I was like, I'm a little bit worried about his job security and opportunities. But as you've mentioned there, it looks as though he's worked on his game and is going to be taking up a role that he's been, excelling in his junior years in the engine room. So looking forward to seeing that. And yeah, with increased opportunity, and already has that knack for finding the footy. He's got all the strings to his bow, and what we've seen thus far in the preseason is very, very promising. So he's been upgraded to a lock and load in my team. Ooh. I imagine you would be likewise.
Yeah, he's in my side. I don't imagine not starting him. And I think in terms of job security, I mean, obviously Parrish isn't playing or hasn't played. We didn't see him across the preseason matches. So there's him to come back in. But I just think, and looking at the CBA, so the top 4 mids, I'm going to say for the CBAs in that practice match were SATAS, Hobbs, Caldwell, and Merritt. Now, Merritt, I think, was just don't risk him in the middle kind of thing going on. I think he's going to be playing midfield. I can't imagine he's going to be moved out. But Hobbs won't be playing 24 or 73% of CBAs, so I wouldn't
Yep.
worry about that. Durham played, who has been playing CBAs last year, didn't get any. I think he's playing a bit more forward this preseason, so maybe he gets a bit of a pinch hit there, but I think the spot's there and available for him, so I'm not too worried.
Very nice. No, I do like it. The one guy who interested me was Ben Hobbs, but it sounds as though he's very slow by the sounds of it. He's got quads. I mean, you mentioned it, Liam.
Yeah,
the
he's
quads
huge.
of this man, incredible.
Like
Looks
two
well
tree
built.
trunks.
Yeah. But it's a shame because I think he's a really good player, but he just can't
Yeah, I
find
think
a way in.
I think it's just. I think I agree. I really like him as a player. I think he's got a bit more versatility than a SATAS. I think SATAS has to play midfield or it's nothing. Like I don't think he's got the skills to
Yeah.
play around the ground. I think Hobbs is a little bit better forward of the ball just because he has a bit more pressure and tackling about him. I think if Parrish isn't in, then you might see more of Hobbs in the midfield, but I think Parrish is looking like he should be back soon. So I'd question whether Hobbs has any real job security.
Is it one of the? I mean, your old recruiting manager, was it a classic from him, like selecting a guy that you didn't really need like all that much from, like in terms of Ben Hobbs, his profile? We're going off a little bit
that's
of
the
tangent
issue.
here, but just to pick your brain.
No, I agree. I mean, I really like him. I think he presents something slightly different and is more like that, as we've just said about talking about like past players, or play like this players like this. He's more that Joel Selwood style, I would say, like that in and under, hard at it kind of player. I think that's a bit different
Yep.
to what Essendon's got. So I don't have an issue with him having been selected. I think he just hasn't been able to crack in because I think his ball use at times can be a little bit slow,
Yeah.
and poor. But he also is, as you said, slow. Like he's not the quickest.
Yeah. Unfortunate, but yeah. There we go. That's a bit of a discussion there on Hobbs because I do know that it was brought up in our Discord as
Discord,
well.
yeah.
So just thought it'd be worthwhile just having a bit of a touch on Hobbsy, the Hobbit.
I definitely wouldn't look at his preseason game.
Yep. Don't
Because I
be
just don't.
full
He's
bite.
not going to be. I don't think I could not imagine him being the second most used midfielder.
Yeah.
In the CBAs.
Yep. Gotcha. No, that makes sense. Thank you, Liam, for the insight there. And let's move on to the next candidate, and it is Sid Draper, 190K on the dot. 2024 average was 108 in the Sandful, of all things, when he played in the Sandful against mature bodies, and he does have the round 15 bye. So is a local South Australian product, and it was obviously he was selected by the Crows and is an absolute speedster with some of the best evasiveness you'll see from the draft crop, and has developed build and frame that saw him play, as I said, against men in the Sandful and have an immediate impact. His defensive play is a strength, which is something that we both love here on SuperCoach Edge, laying 21 tackles across his first 2 games for South Adelaide, which is just a cheat code when it comes to SuperCoach. He does possess massive upside, evidenced by the fact that he scored 200 SuperCoach points in his only Sandful under-18 game in 2024 and averaged 116 in the same competition as a bottom major in 2023. He also registered scores of 147, 118, 119, 101 and 106 in his first 4 Sandful League appearances. At the National Carnival, he averaged 111 points in 2023 and showed steady growth with solid performances. However, it looks as though the Crows will be slowly integrating him into the senior team, as evidenced by the official practice match against the Lions when he played the lowest time on ground of any player with just 39%. However, keeping in mind as well that he had been managing a back problem across the preseason, so the club has been managing his load across his first preseason, and Jordan Dawson, the captain himself, highlighted that he wouldn't be rushed. And despite those managed minutes in the official preseason game, he was still able to score an impressive 59 points at 1.18 points per minute, hinting at his ability to score well enough despite limited opportunity going forward, which is always a great thing. In terms of verdicts, he looks like a bit of a pass for me at this stage with the way the Crows are managing his load. But once he debuts, I expect him to stay in the side given the new dynamic that he does add to the slow Crows engine room in terms of his speed, which is something that is missing from their lineup. I'm a little bit worried as well, given that he is being managed, that early days he may be given the sub vest, or at least starting in the team and then subbed off just in terms of managing his load and integrating him into the speed of senior footy. That's probably my only other worry as well. So not really a selection I don't think we can bank on, even if he is named in the round one team, but one to keep an eye on nonetheless.
Yeah, I agree. The biggest concern for me is the managed minutes. He's going to score. He looks like he's going to score well, even with limited minutes. But I think the risk is the low time on ground. Like he only came on in the second half, so he didn't start. Really came on as a sub as such. I think there's too big a risk there. That's what's going to happen. That he's going to play again. He's going to be the sub, or he's going to be subbed out. If they can pull that trigger. And so it's going to limit his scoring at that 190k mark. You want a bit more surety that they're going to play.
Yeah, exactly right.
Next up, we've got Levi Ashcroft, 185.5k, mid-eligible, 152 Coates League points was his average in 2024 and has that round 16 bye. No longer does he have the round 3 bye because everything's changed.
Yep, it's all changed.
It's all changed. It's all thrown me off. But anyway, this guy is someone who many thought was the legitimate first pick, but he had he not been tied to the Brisbane Lions as a father-son selection. But because he wasn't, we get him at a slight discount. Had one of the highest Supercoach averages among all draftees with an insane 152 Supercoach points, and even had a 35 disposal, 149 point performance in one VFL appearance. He impressed massively. Huge. Impressed massively across the preseason match sims and took it up a notch in the official preseason game with a score of 80 from 23 disposals and 29% CBAs. The query is how much time he will be given in that Lions already stacked engine room, which may see him in a timeshare role, playing a bit more high half forward and rotating through the middle. I think it's fine. I'm not too worried about that. Get him in. I think he'll score well enough.
68%.
Yeah, so it's I think it negates the risk with him.
He's like his ability to score, I think, isn't restricted to his role. Like such is his talent and quality. I think you can kind of bank on him to be a nice cash cow, regardless of where he plays. If it's a high half forward, he's going to be drifting up the ground anyway. Has the smarts to be in the right positions, much like I spoke about with Finn O'Sullivan. I think he's going to be very, very similar, and everyone has spoken about him ad nauseum as to how good he is. So I'm not too phased with him, and I think what we saw in the official preseason game, as you mentioned, that's one of the things that is kind of all we need. Is just a sample size of one game to really be reminded of the fact that he's going to be able to settle into senior level quite quickly. So he is a lock and load for me.
Yeah, I agree. And I think one thing to consider is that he went at 57% disposal efficiency in that game on the practice match.
Oh, yes.
So there's still, I don't know what his ball use is like in terms of like averages of his
efficiencies and stuff.
Efficiency and whatnot. But I'd assume that he can improve upon that. I assume that's pretty low for him. And so there's points to be gained there as well.
Exactly. Very, very fair point. Well, let's move on to the next guy, and it is Harvey Langford. 181k, 2024 average was 152 in the Coates League as well. Has the round 15 bye for the Ds, and he's considered one of the more ready-made midfielders in the draft due to his frame and size, and was joint winner of the Lark medal, underlining his dominance. He wasn't just dominant though, but also consistent, scoring 100 plus Supercoach points in 25 out of 29 matches for the Dandenong Stingrays in the Coates League, along with double tons as well, if you don't mind. Has the ability to play forward as well as through the middle, so could be swung between both areas. Only had 3% CBAs, however, in the official preseason match, and scored 43 from 11 disposals. I think the one thing you can hang your hat on when it comes to Langford at this stage looks like is he will have that opportunity. Don't know in terms of his scoring output, how consistent that's going to be. It's really hard now, isn't it? Like the preseason games, you only get a sample size of really one. We've got the unofficial preseason game as well. But, in terms of getting an insight into how he's going to line up, I think he will stick around the team and they will give him opportunity. But, yeah, I'm a little bit worried about his scoring. I do think there are other guys at a lower price point that could rival him for averages, if not surpass him for a couple that we'll speak about. So for me at this stage, in terms of my verdict, he is not in my team. What about you, Liam?
I don't think he's in my team, so I'm just going back and checking.
Unless he's snuck his way in somehow.
I don't know. Players are making their way in and out. Like, I don't know.
Are you doing it whilst you're sleepwalking?
I reckon. I'm going to blame the painkillers.
Yeah, blame the beds.
No, he's not in my side right now. I think he was in initially and I've taken him out. I think other players that we haven't really discussed yet that are at that lower price point took his place.
Yep.
I agree. I think looking at his match on the weekend, just gone, he played okay. Didn't score necessarily as well as probably what we would hope. So I'm kind of happy to fade him.
Yeah, very much the same as well. Well, Liam, who have we got up next? Another big-bodied mid.
Up next, we've got Josh. I'm assuming it's Smiley.
Yeah, it's Smiley.
Let's put a smile on that face.
It's a funny name.
There's too many like
I's and L's.
It's actually hurting my brain to look at.
It's so like SMILLIE.
It's not SMILLIE or something, is it?
I should have added a few extra I's and E's and L's in there for you just to throw you off.
It got me 100%. But anyway, Josh Smiley, 176.5k mid.
He's a happy kid.
He is very happy. You'd hope so.
Yeah.
129 Coates League in 2024. That was his average, and has the round 14 bye with the Tigers. He is another big-bodied midfielder. Who could have been in line for an early debut, if not for an unfortunate hamstring injury, which would keep him out until around round 4. He does have the ability to play a variety of positions, but given his talents could be injected into Richmond's engine room early, once he is fit, that's good for us. Depending on when he does make his debut, he could be a nice downgrade option in season, obviously at that higher price point, but it is what it is. There's a few guys on this list that I think hopefully will, or not necessarily these guys, but a few guys that we've looked at as rookies that potentially might be some early downgrade options, which is nice to see. So yeah, not in my side, and I don't think anyone should be picking him.
Nope, unless you want to cop a donut early on. Which is unfortunate if you're copying a donut with your starting team, which will happen no doubt at some stage. But in round 1, you don't need it. That's avoidable. So don't select him. But yeah, very, very good point there in terms of him being a nice downgrade option potentially.
He's still in 10% of teams. Please change that.
That's what I'm talking about when it's someone defrosting from the freezer, coming out of hibernation, being like, Josh Smiley. The Mr. Frowny, he is someone that I want in my team, and then they have no idea that he's actually injured. So if you're in that 10%, get him out of your team. We don't need donuts this early on.
No, it's not worth it. It's really not worth it.
Yeah, not at all. Even if he is worth selecting him based upon his name alone, because I just like saying his name, Mr. Smiley. It sounds like a Mr. Men book, Mr. Smiley.
Yeah, it does. That's what I mean. It's like, surely it's not Smiley. Surely it's like SMILLIE or something.
Yeah, smelly.
Yeah. Mr. Smelly. I feel like that's still a Mr. Men book.
Maybe we affectionately call him Mr. Smelly. Well, let's move on to a better prospect here in someone that you picked up in the keeper draft, Liam, the SuperCoach Edge keeper draft.
I dropped him.
Yeah, I don't know how. I think it automatically dropped him out of your team because you didn't delist enough players.
I just listed any player.
Which is an insight into what you would be like as a list manager. You'd probably be rivaling Dodoro, I must admit, with that sort of behaviour. It was quite funny that it was auto delisted, and then you were able to pick him up again with your first draft pick. Had I known that he was available, I would have picked him. But
the best part is, I think when you messaged me being like, didn't you have him? And I was like, oh yeah, I did. So I actually completely forgot.
Which doesn't speak to the quality of this man, because he could be a very, very nice cash cow and someone that you want, not just in your keeper team, but also in the regular SuperCoach season team. It is Angus Sheldrick, 161.7k. In 2024, his average was a big fat 0, and that's because, well, he was injured and a little bit out of form. Had a 60 in 2023, adjusted to 80, discounting his sub games. In terms of buys, he has the round 3 and round 14 buys. And we all remember Sheldrick because he burst into the scene in 2023, playing 7 games for the average of 80. boasted an impressive points per minute despite limited game time and posting consecutive scores of 91, 93, and 102 at the back end of 2023. Injuries largely restricted his opportunity and ability to break into the strong Swans lineup in 2024, but now gets prime opportunity with the likes of Mills and Goulden both injured. Was able to play 10 VFL games in 2024 where he averaged 124 SuperCoach points, discounting one game where it was injury affected and he only scored a 9. Looking back to his, I guess, 2023 form, that was incredible. And he was kind of mirroring that a bit in the official preseason game against Gold Coast with a score of 100 from 22 disposals and 7 tackles with 57% CBAs as well. So Liam, he wasn't really on my radar. I must admit as well, I had a bet on him this time last year as my rising star favourite. And I don't know if he's eligible anymore. If he is, I'll have to have a look at it. But such was my confidence in the man. I just thought he was going to take his game up to another notch in 2024, if not for injury. And I think opportunity, just in terms of my verdict, opportunity has been fortunate to him as well with those 2 big names out in Goulden and Mills at the moment. So I think the red carpet is being rolled out for Sheldrick, I should say, to take his game to another level and be a very, very nice cash cow. Probably one of the best, I will say, I reckon, at this stage. Liam, is he in your team?
He is in my team. Both my draft team and my normal, regular SuperCoach team. My classic team. Yeah, I agree, 100% get him in. His 46% disposal efficiency in the practice game as well will let him down. So leaving points. But I don't think he's particularly necessarily the best user of the ball.
No.
He's been named in the round 0 team, on the bench. Obviously with Heaney and Warner returning. So that's a positive in terms of the fact that he could still hold his spot. So hopefully, and apparently, I mean, I don't know, I read this somewhere, but I always wonder when I read these things how we know this. Apparently Dean Cox is a big fan of Angus Sheldrick, so will maybe has more opportunity. I don't know, maybe John Longmire hated him.
Yeah, maybe he collects AFL Select cards, trading cards of Sheldrick himself.
Whenever I read this, like they're like, "Oh yeah, he's a big fan," and I'm like, "Well, like you'd hope so." Like,
yeah,
you'd hope that he likes him in some way.
Exactly. Very strange. But I do recall, very good point as well about his disposal efficiency, because that is something I forgot about, and that was a knock that I had. I remember back in 2023 when we were discussing him in season and we spoke about his disposal efficiency potentially holding him back. But despite that, he was still able to score quite well. Like those games where he scored the 91 and 93 in 2023, his disposal efficiency was 58% and 62%, which isn't that crash hot. But then his last 2 games were 81% and 86%. So maybe a couple of off games, but maybe it creeps into his game from time to time. But good to see that kind of just means that his ceiling is higher than what it's actually being shown at the moment. Bit of a hidden ceiling in a sense.
It's positive. There's room to move for him.
100%. Well, let's move on to another prospect here in Xavier Lindsay, 158.5K and 2024 average, 121 in the Coates League, has the round 15 bye for the Ds, and is well known for his silky disposal, which is pure gold, as we know, in SuperCoach. Could consolidate a cushy halfback role or a wing role for the Ds if he can maintain a spot in their senior side, and it would seem that he will get the opportunity to do so from the outset. Didn't do his chances any harm with a score of 53 from 14 disposals in the Ds official preseason game, and impressed also in the unofficial practice match against, I think it was the Roos. In terms of verdict, just quickly for me, I just think there's, again, I'd be willing to pay up, which I am, an extra 3K almost for Sheldrick over Lindsay.
Oh, yeah.
Sheldrick's been in the game for longer. He's got that more mature body, and he's had the points on the board historically. So the numbers tell the tale there, and I am fading Lindsay at the moment.
Equally, I think I agree with you. I'm fading him. I haven't got him in my side. I don't think he's been in my side at all. Equally, looking at him, I go down to the next guy on the list, who's what, 10K cheaper.
Yeah.
And it's Mitch Knevitt, 149.8K mid-eligible. Round 16 by 2024 average of 34.8 from those 4 games. And he was only able to play the 4 games, obviously, in 2024. But one of those was as a sub where he scored a 0 from 3% time on ground. Good old Chris Scott. Don't you love it? Just what is the point of bringing him on with 3% of the game to go? What is that, like 2 minutes?
I do remember it because I was watching the game and I remember like the commentators were like, oh, he hasn't used the sub yet. And this is like one of the first times I'd heard any of it. And I'm like, this poor bloke.
Yeah.
Honestly, like
maybe, but actually, you know what? This is actually Chris Scott giving back because that would have lowered
That's
Mitch
true.
Knevitt's
That's very
average,
true.
and would have given us a cheaper Mitch Knevitt this year. So maybe we have to be nice to Chris Scott.
Yeah, in a roundabout way we thank him, but still.
But still, what a weird
What an
thing.
ass.
Anyway, whatever.
Mm.
So Scott obviously comically activated him, as we've said, for the dying minutes. Discounting that game, it does lift his average to 46.3 across the other 3 games when he scored 80, 39 and 30 in managed minutes. Scott has been vocal in saying that Knevitt will be given the opportunity to shine in the Cats engine room in 2025, which couldn't be a better endorsement. And he has impressed across the preseason in all of their match sims, along with the official game against the Dons, scoring 70 from 21 disposals and 52% CBAs, the 3rd most behind Bowes and Atkins. Has also shown the ability to score at VFL level, scoring 224 SuperCoach points in 1 game off 38 disposals, 23 of which were contested, 13 clearances and 10 tackles. Jesus Christ. Sorry, that is...
It sounds as though he transformed into Jesus Christ himself.
Yeah.
Like, did he turn water into wine as well? Incredible.
Insane. I think, he's a lock for me. Just, but maybe not a lock, but he's a lock. Like, he's as close to being a lock as you can get.
I would say he's a lock. I would say he's a lock. He's a lock in my team at the moment.
Just
no?
off.
Just off. Because, is that
I've got the
because Chris
key
Scott...
still in there. Still got,
the key's still in there? Okay, wow.
The key's still in the lock.
I've actually melted my key down. That's how confident I am.
Oh wow! But I don't trust Chris Scott. Chris Scott's gonna. I don't know. Anyway, no, I think he should be in most sides. I don't even know what his ownership is, but it should be
37% at the moment.
Should be higher.
Yeah.
I think knowing that he's going to get that mid time, that's positive. Looking at his game, 50. What was it? How many? 52% CBA. So he's getting a lot. 3rd behind Bowes and Atkins. Danger's probably going to spend more time forward. Tanner Brunn, I think, won't be playing. I think he's out indefinitely with a finger injury or something. And I think Parfit last year had really high CBAs.
He did.
Who's been moved on. So there's a position available.
Yeah,
Bailey Smith is probably the only one that was missing that could affect him.
But I think having said all that, though, like the endorsement from, I think even Dangerfield came out and endorsed him as well. Maybe even late last year, I think it was, in December-ish, or there's something about in the sort of postseason going into preseason. So yeah, it's a good endorsement across the board, and you'd think that he's done his apprenticeship and he looks like one of those guys that the Cats have just developed nicely, hidden away, and he's going to come on and he's going to be an absolute gun. So yep. Looking forward to seeing him in action. Next up, we do have another good rookie in the form of Murphy Reid, priced at 131.5K, 2024 average of 122 in the Coates League, and has the favourable round 13 bye. And many consider Reid, I guess, in terms of where he was taken in the draft, as a bit of a bargain slider because they snapped him up, Freo, at pick 17, having averaged 28 disposals for the Sandringham Dragons. That earned him All-Australian honours. Scored a 50 from 14 disposals in Freo's official hit-out and has caught the eye across Freo's match sims as well. Just a little bit unsure whether he can break his way into the side from the get-go, but expect him to play games in 2025, and early signs suggest that he could have a SuperCoach impact. In terms of, just trying to have a quick look to see if he had any CBAs. I don't know if Murphy Reid.
My mouse is just turned off. Sorry, give me a sec. I've got his stats here.
He had 17% CBAs by the looks of it, if that's right with your stats you've got there, Liam.
REID 17, yeah, so he had 5.
Yeah, I mean, he's a young player. I think in terms of no matter how talented you are, it's going to be hard for him to break into the midfield that already boasts Brayshaw, Sarong. Who else is? I mean, Fife can kind of get the hell out of there, but they've got some pretty good players rotating through the engine room, don't they?
And I think the thing is, it's going to be behind it. For us, you've got O'Driscoll there as well. So you've got to consider that, they're going to probably be fighting off for a similar position. He's probably above them in the pecking order. Johnson had 47%. So in terms of mids, it was Brayshaw at 77, Sarong at 53, and Sarong was really managed with his minutes in that game. So you'd expect those to be bolstered. Johnson at 47%, O'Driscoll at 43. Then when Erasmus eventually came on, he took a big bulk of at 33%, and then Reid at that 17%.
Verdict is, I think he's too many question marks to really start in your team at the moment. And if he doesn't make his debut in round 1, at least I think he's going to play at some stage or another when he does get the opportunity. So might be a nice little downgrade option down the line.
Yeah, I think there's some Freo supporters who are big on him, say he'll play. I'm not sure for me at this stage. I think the queries on him, I think he fell down the draft rankings a little bit. Like I think he was ranked a bit higher, fell a bit. It just reminds me a bit of a Hobbs as well, like that kind of thing, where it might be a case of just on that verge, but not quite there.
Yep.
So for me, no, as well. He's not in my side.
Very good. Well, next up, Liam, who have we got? This bloke here, don't know who he is, but apparently he's making his debut.
Yeah, he is.
Round
making
0.
His debut. Why? How do we know him? Who knows who he is? No one knows who he is. Seriously. Tom HANILY.
Who?
Just out of nowhere. I love these players. Like it was even like Reid. Reid came out of nowhere. Like no one was expecting him. I just love these players that just spring up.
Do you mean, are you talking about Richard Hadley, who used to play for the Lions and I think Carlton as well, a couple of games? Tom HANILY.
Tom HANILY. 128 Coates League average, though, in 2024. Round 3, round 14 buys playing for the Swannies. But he has been named in the round 1 lineup. Round 0 lineup, let me rephrase. Come from the clouds to be handed a debut, first up with the Swans, and he hasn't been on anyone's radar after being selected with pick 14 in the mid-season draft in 2024. He scored 69 from 13 disposals and 1 goal won in the Swans official preseason game. Obviously, we'll get a free look at him in opening round to assess whether he's worth taking a flyer on, as his job security, to be perfectly honest, is entirely unknown. I wouldn't even be shocked to see him as the sub. And that's no disrespect to him. That's just realistically, I imagine
the way things are going, isn't it?
He's the sub.
Yeah.
Because looking at their side, I can't see. I mean, unless you make Corey Warner, but he just re-signed. Yeah, I don't know. He's the one. He's just the biggest sub candidate for me in that matchup.
Yeah, doesn't quite make sense, and you feel sorry for him if that's the case. But as you said, job security an unknown. Him as a player, an unknown. We don't know who he is. I've forgotten all about him. Didn't even know he was actually on an AFL list. But good luck to him in his debut. But I think it gives us a little bit of a safety net here because we get a free look at him in the opening round of all things. So it would be a little bit harder if we had to gamble on him in round 1. But we got a free look and we can assess him from there. He could very much be, what's his name? Howes from the D's. Remember, he played in the opening game against Sydney, I think it was. Came from the clouds and smashed out, I think it was a ton maybe first up. And everyone was scrambling to get him into their teams for round 1. Didn't obviously cost us anything because the round 0 game just gave us that free look. It obviously impacted his price rise 2 games on from then, but we get to get him in with that free look. So it could be the same thing here with Tom HANILY. So keep an eye on him nonetheless.
Yeah, it looks like he played mainly forward as well.
Gotcha.
So just consider that potentially playing sort of that small forward kind of role, smallish forward. at 180 centimeters. So not a small forward necessarily, but not a tall.
Yep, not a genuine tall.
Which will hurt his scoring. So yeah, I would probably avoid him, just not knowing him, if you know what I mean. Like it's not a player that you've not in a harsh way, but just in a he's not one that you've been considering all preseason.
Yeah. There's no real homework that we could do on him. Yeah.
Yeah, unless he smashes out, as you said, 100 or whatever, and we go, okay, it's worth it because it's 120k. He's gonna make some cash, but yeah, I'd probably avoid him at this stage.
Yep. And didn't really look as though he blew it away in the VFL either, after he was picked up by the Swans. Kicked a few goals here and there, but limited numbers. Some nice tackles, but yeah, just wait and see. As you said, bit of a free look and assess from there for our opening teams in round one. Let's move on to Max Hall from the Saints, priced at 119.9k as a mid forward. 2024 average was 101 in the VFL and has the favourable round 13 bye. He was taken in the mid-season draft as well, much like Hanley, at 22 years of age from Box Hill in 2024, but is yet to make his debut for the Saints. He's well known for his monster 214-point SuperCoach game from 32 disposals, 18 of which were contested, and 2 goals. Philippu's absence may grant Hall an early debut, so early opportunity could be enticing, but what is unknown is his scoring, given it looks as though he will play more as a pressure forward. Only scored a 44 from 9 disposals in the official preseason game, playing in the forward half. So that, for me, I think means that I will be fading him. I do like the fact that he has DPP, always handy, but who knows, mature age player, could be a Davidson, potentially, like him at the Dogs. Could come in and have maybe an immediate impact. We'll just have to wait and see. But limited sample size in terms of exposed form that we can go off. So, yeah, I think I'll be fading him from my team.
Yep, agreed. I think I'm happy to fade him just on his price as well at 119k or 120k, basically. It's easy to correct to him. You know, if a Driscoll fails, I mean, you know, you're giving yourself 80k in cash, basically.
Good point, yeah.
So I'm not too worried in terms of that. Next up, his teammate, Max Hastie, 119.9k, mid-eligible. 2024 average was 20 from 5 games, with 4 of them being the sub, and a 72 from 14 games in the VFL. With the round 13 bye. Now, he was limited for opportunity in 2024. Largely due to being a super sub anytime he was played at senior level. He now looks to have shifted from the wing to halfback, which is an area he is most familiar with, and dominated in it as a junior as an interceptor, averaging 109 in 2023. Did score that 59 from 14 disposals and 5 marks in the official preseason game. For me, at this stage, is probably a pass. I'm a bit worried about his job security with... I mean, there's a role that's opened up with, what's his name? Battle leaving.
Oh, Battle, yep.
Playing in that back line. But I'd just be a bit worried that he might be one that gets moved on.
Yeah. He's
there's some players to come back. Yeah.
And they've got like Shonemakers as well. Shonemakers, is that his name?
Yeah.
Yep. Who didn't really feature in their preseason team. I think he played in the VFL in the game following the matchup they had as well against Carlton. And it was just like, what's he done? Has he done his dash again? Has he spoken back to Ross Lyon, which is one of the things that was doing the rounds last year and part of the reason why potentially he was banished and had to ply his trade in the VFL. But he's another guy that could potentially come back into the team and maybe, usurp Hastie. But just on Hastie as well, like the St Kilda fans, they have songs for players. And I hope that they have, that song, don't you treat me like a baby. Hopefully they have that with, oh, Maxie, don't be hasty. Like, that'd be good. Now it's going to be in my head every single time I hear them talk about Hastie. Or maybe BT can mention it. That'd be something he would do.
That'd be a BT thing.
That would be. Oh, God, I'm morphing into BT. Let's round things out with another St Kilda player. We do have another player after this who is at the same price point here that I forgot to mention, Liam, and you've hastily put him in. you like that?
I like
This
that.
player, though, first up is HUGH BOXSHALL. BOXSHALL or BOXSHALL? I don't know.
I would have said BOXSHALL,
BOXSHALL. Yeah, BOXSHALL.
but
We'll
I
go
don't
with
know.
that. Funny names here. Not quite as good as HASTIE, but we'll go with it. 113.5K, 2024 average of 135 in the waffle and 86 in the under 18 champs. Has the round 13 bye, obviously, again, playing for St Kilda. And burst onto everyone's radar after impressive performances across the preseason, which included the unofficial practice game against Carlton, when he notably was able to shrug off Cripps in a tackle. I remember I was sitting in the stands watching this, and I was like, who is this kid? He's looking pretty good to shrug off Cripper. Everyone, there was literally like around the, Princess Park as it happened. He then went on to score 83 from 15 disposals and 24% CBAs in the official preseason clash against Port. Does look to have passed early auditions for rotations through the Saints engine room, which is a big positive as well in terms of role. Has shown an ability to score well, averaging 135 from 7 games in the waffle, which featured scores of 168, 156, 132, 152, and 136. So got a bit of form behind him there in the waffle, I think, for the Colts. I like him. He's come from nowhere. He wasn't in my team up until after that game, really. I was looking at him closely, and then when I saw his game against Port, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to have to consider him. And looks as though he's going to get that early opportunity, which is always a good thing. So he's in my team at the moment on the bench. What about you, Liam?
Yep. He's in my team too.
He's in there.
He had roughly 1.1 points per minute, which
very good.
Is good. He had low time on ground in that practice game, 62%. That's my only concern. But I mean, he got CBAs. McRae, Steele, and Garcia were the top 3, then BOXSHALL. So yeah, it's positive. I mean, the only player that I can think of that would be coming back in would be Sinclair, and that's whether he plays midfield or in the back line. And I don't know, is Crouch injured?
Who's that? Brad Crouch?
Yeah.
I think he retired, didn't he?
Oh, he did. He retired.
Yeah,
look at me.
He got delisted, and then St Kilda picked him up from memory, and then he retired. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Wow. Oh, that's
strange.
sad.
He had knee issues, Liam, which yours thankfully isn't as bad as his. But you can understand.
I have
you can relate to
retired
him.
from netball.
I was going to say, I was waiting for you to say I have retired from AFL football, which you can technically say as well.
That's true as well. Yes, I've put that dream away. In my knee, unfortunately.
You're going to be picked up like as a mature age rookie, like James Podsiadly.
That's it. That's it. Yeah, he's in my side. HUGH BOXSHALL. I like him at that price point. I don't know what else to say about him. That's it.
Yeah. I think his ownership's going to be getting up there. Is it like 18% or something? Yeah, 18%. So I think people are cottoning on. And
I just think with that price point, because I mean, like before this, I think KNEVITT was my cheapest mid, and he was 149K. Like until BOXSHALL came in, so he's just letting me spread the cash a little bit more. I know it's not much, but it's enough to, potentially upgrade to get a midfielder up to upgrade your mid prices slightly if you can find that cash. So it is worth it.
I do like him.
Yeah.
He is ticking all the right boxes. Well, Liam, let's round things out with touching on the last player here, and it is from my mob. It is the son of Scott Camporale, who you're familiar with as well, because he played for your mob, the traitor. But we've got his sons, Liam. We've got his sons, talented sons, the twins. And this here is Lucas Camporale. So he is someone that I didn't really factor in as someone that could be potentially making their debut this early on, let alone in round 1. So the one thing with Campo is he passed the eye test. Really, really good. Against St Kilda, he looked pretty good. I was like, yep, not too bad. And then against the Giants as well, even better. So ended up having 20 disposals and played on the wing, played on the wing and found plenty of the ball. And I guess the one knock in his game, which was kind of extended back to his draft year, was his, I guess, questionable disposal efficiency. Unlike his brother Ben, who's kind of got him covered a little bit more than what Lucas possesses in terms of the talent there. But he went at 50% disposal efficiency. If he can clean that up, his scoring should improve. In the official practice game against the Giants, had 65 SuperCoach points, which is a good thing, especially for that price point.
Yeah.
And does, as I said, looks like a possible round one
And that
debutant. And that role as well, like it's something that we do need. It frees up Akers. We don't have to rely upon him to just be stuck on the wing, because we love Akers shifting up and down the ground, not just in the, between the arcs, but he pushes even deeper into defense, into the forward line when he kicks goals. And we've seen how crucial it can be, virtually winning us finals off his own boot going back a couple of seasons. So it just provides a little bit of flexibility, I think, for the coaching staff that, Lucas can provide that speed as well, which I really do love. And we do need someone speedy as him. Doherty is someone that's coming back from an ACL, may play on the wing, but did play a little bit more inside, but has said that he couldn't kind of switch between both of those positions. And Ollie Hollands, as we know as well, he's going to be playing more predominantly as a halfback, sort of quarterback role, which I guess Hollands has been kind of earmarked for that wing role anyway. So it frees him up to go back into defense. And Lucas, I think there is definitely a role there that he can carve out. So in terms of job security, I still think it's going to be awfully questionable. Probably coming in a little bit ahead of where I think he should be. To his credit, it's the world's his oyster. He can come in and carve out that spot, as I said, because there is a role there for him. But can he maintain his spot is the big question. And when it comes to scoring, as you said, as you've written down here, Liam, from your practice match notes, that if he can clean up his disposal efficiency, 100%, that's going to be very, very helpful in elevating that ceiling. At the moment, he's not in my team as much as I'd love to have him because of that questionable job security longer term.
Yeah.
Just because we're stuck with options. Like I can't see him being selected ahead of the likes of ASHCROFT, TSATAS, SHELDRICK, KNEVITT, maybe Wacko for Kako, your team. BOXSHALL even has kind of shown a little bit more in limited sample size. So I don't know. I'm not counting him out, but just cheaper price point does help.
I think the cheaper price point, if BOXSHALL wasn't named, I think you could potentially swap to a CAMPOREALE. I definitely have BOXSHALL ahead of him, just because the role is more SuperCoach friendly. Like the BOXSHALL role is more likely to score well, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
The role isn't, so getting those CBAs and being around the ball, you're more likely to have a better score than potentially on a wing where it's, you could get
stuck in no man's land.
Yeah, on the dead wing as well. Came from the clouds. I mean, I didn't expect him at all. I'd always assumed his brother would be the first to debut. So
he probably would have as well, like because Ben is currently injured at the moment. But like he's probably more of an inside midfielder compared to Lucas, who is that wing sort of outside midfielder. If you're going to push him into the engine room, but even so, I think Ben might be pushed out. He probably would have got an opportunity with Jacob Smith being out. But having said that as well, that's probably allowed Lucas to come into the team or into calculations for selection a little bit earlier than probably what he would have off the back of that knee injury to Jagger. So he's a watch for me. If he does blow us away and looks as though he's going to be scoring quite well, I am more than happy to use a correction trade. But at this stage, as you said, like BOXSHALL, I think he's ahead of him slightly for that bench spot.
Agreed entirely.
Very good. Well, Liam, that rounds us out for our full discussion on all things midfielders, and in this case, mid-rookies. All that's left to chat about at this stage are the rucks, and that'll be rather brief, I imagine, given you can throw a net over all of the primos, mid-prices, and rookies all in one. So, it's just a matter of working out as to which of the primos you go for. And do you go for potentially a Flynn in your flex? Do you go for Boyd? Do you go for him potentially? Maybe R3. So we'll chat about that as well in full detail. But Liam, before we go, do you want to just remind the folks, the good people, the you people of the SuperCoaches community? Yep, you people. See, I feel at home whenever I hear you say that, Liam. So it's good to have you back.
Oi, you people. On YouTube, you'll find us at SuperCoach Edge. Don't forget to subscribe.
Did you say oi, you people? Or all you people?
Oh no, all you people.
Oh,
That's
okay.
what
I thought you said oi, you
No,
people.
I didn't say
That
oi.
just adding salt into the wound. Come
Oi.
on.
Oi, guys. No, if you want to find us on YouTube, search SuperCoach Edge, and please subscribe so you are notified when our content does drop from week to week. On Spotify or on Apple Pods, you can hear us on podcast form, in audio format. And if you do listen to us there, please, if you have the time, please give us a 5-star and a glowing review, if possible. On Twitter, you'll find us at @supercoach_.
If you haven't offended them, that is.
No one's offended. You'll find David at DamoJ88. If you are offended, please just send the DMs that way. And at Liam Evans _95. That's me. On Facebook, Coach Edge. My DMs are closed though. Sorry.
Yeah, because you've received an influx of people requesting those OnlyFans. People are still waiting, by the way. People are still waiting, especially Adam, our number 1 ticket holder. He's very, very keen for the OnlyFans feet pics, SuperCoach style. I don't know how that would work, the collaboration, how you would incorporate that.
I'll have to figure it out.
Maybe like a video of you adjusting your SuperCoach team by using your feet to navigate a mouse or potentially a touch iPad or something to adjust the SuperCoach team. Oh, your lights are dim there, Liam. So I don't know what's the go there. Something's happened. Oh, there we go. You're back up again. I thought that was mood lighting for a second then. Anyway, let us round out this episode, Liam, before it delves into any more gutter talk. So with that, thanks as always for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next one. Thank you, Liam.
See you guys.